Hit the record button. All right. So, Caleb, welcome to the Monster Rabbit podcast. This is the first video podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
No, dude, it's a pleasure. The pleasure's all mine. You've been on. Okay, so for people listening or watching this, we've known each other for quite some time. We know each other from the photography world. I used to have a photography podcast and all that good stuff, and that's how we met through. Was it Instagram?
I think it was through Instagram.
Yeah. Apologies for me holding this microphone like this, by the way. If I let it go, it will interact with the beard and it will sound horrible. So that's why I'm holding it. But thanks for being on the podcast. This is a little bit different. So normally on this podcast, it's an audio sort of interview with Volkswagen owners in the community. But today is pretty special because I wanted to do an episode to kind of educate the listeners or viewers how to take better photos of their vehicles. And you do that for a living, right? You photograph cars and airplanes and things like that. Tell us a little bit about what you do first, if you can.
I shoot promotional content either for people's cars or mostly lately it's for dealerships and then people trying to sell their cars. Like I do a lot of work for a buddy of mine who auctions off cars, so I do all the listing photos for those, which aren't really exciting photos, but they get cars sold. And then I do other fun stuff just on the side or when people need it.
Yeah, I think, it'd be, because obviously being a photographer myself, but I don't shoot vehicles as much as you, and I thought you'd be an absolute expert when it comes to talking about shooting cars, because I reckon there's a specific way, styles to do it, like you say, to get vehicles sold. And I think you would know all about it. And I just wanted to put something out there that is a little bit different from what we do here on the podcast, but just to educate people, like I said, on how they can take better photos of their vehicles. Now, what my thinking is it'd be great to show people, if one, they want to sell their vehicle, what the best angles are to get to shoot their car. And two, maybe they just want to post up about their vehicle. I see it all the time. People take photos of their car, stick it on Instagram. And I think it'd be great to put something out there to help people take better photos of their cars, trucks, whatever it is. And I think you're the most ideal person to talk to about that. Now, you don't own a Volkswagen, do you? What? I can't remember what it is.
Is it a Mazda?
A Mazda, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
it's just a little Mazda hatchback.
Sure, but it gets the job done. But Volkswagen aside, for today's podcast, let's talk photography. And imagine the people listening to this, they're not all going to be photographers. They're not all going to have big DSLRs and things like that. Most of them are going to be shooting on a phone. So hopefully we can touch on little tricks, tips, whatever you want to call it, on how they can better use the facilities that they've got to photograph their vehicle at home, if that makes sense.
Well, the good news is you can get a good photo on any camera. You can even, like, I've actually used my iPhone on professional shoots just to see if the dealership noticed that I used a phone. They did not. They were
Really?
like, these are great photos. Yeah, I just took a Subaru out into the woods because I just got the 13 Pro, so I just wanted to test it out, and I did a full set of photos and a full video just using the iPhone, and they were like, "This looks great." Didn't tell them at all that it was shot on a phone.
Wow.
So,
well, there you go.
And they used it for all their promotional content. I've been meaning to make a YouTube video around that, being like, I shot a professional client project on an iPhone and no one noticed, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Wow. I should say that's a very good point. I should say you're a YouTuber as well. You make TikToks as well. And I'll put links to all of those in the show notes below. So if anybody did want to go and check out Caleb's profile and channel and give him some support and just dive further, if photography is really interesting to you listening, then definitely go and check out all of his stuff, and you won't regret it. It's just top stuff. I really admire the work that you've been doing since you started.
Thanks, Dan. I gotta post more. I haven't posted anything in a while, but
it can be difficult, can't it? I mean, I have little times in my life where I'm like, man, I should really get on it. I should really start doing something now. But sometimes life happens, man, and But nonetheless, where do we begin? Where do you think? Let's talk about using a cell phone. Let's talk about using a phone to take photos. Now, I don't know if you have any immediate thoughts with, the first things that people should know about, when it comes to photography and taking photos of cars. What do you think?
I think most importantly, it's not what camera you have, it's just what's in your frame, and just knowing what's in your frame. Because there's a ton of people that are like, this doesn't look good because it was shot on a phone. It's like, no, it doesn't look good because you shot it in front of some dumpsters at midday in the worst possible lighting.
Yes.
But you could take that same photo. I could probably take a photo in midday next to some dumpsters with the R6, and then take a photo in like a meadow at sunset with an iPhone, and everybody would like the iPhone photo more. So it's all about location, and I guess just finding the right lighting. And you can shoot good photos in midday too. I do it all the time because that's when these places are open that I shoot for. It's just, you got to find the spots that work. Usually it's like some nice like shaded area, or some nice spot that has some contrast or something like that. But you can get good photos at any time of day with anything. It's what I find is it's more important where you take the photo than, I guess, like what the photo is of. Because like I've taken some photos at car shows of like crazy cars, like a Zonda, and it doesn't look as good as a photo that I've taken of a Volkswagen where I had everything like set up right. Which I guess works for this podcast because I shoot a lot for Volkswagen, but it's all the new
Do you
stuff.
really?
Yeah.
What, Volkswagen dealerships or?
Yeah.
Really?
Dealership. Yeah.
Is that in Florida as well?
Yeah. It's in Florida.
Oh, wow. So what kind of stuff do they normally ask of you to do?
It's just regular like social media stuff. They're like, just take some cars out. I'm like, okay. So let's just take out like an Atlas or like a Passat or whatnot. It's nothing fun. They have one new GTI and it sits in the showroom and they won't take it out. And I'm like, it's just like it's a cool car, but like, come on.
Yeah.
I go to these other dealerships and they're like, yeah, just take the Ferrari. It's whatever.
Wow.
And they're like safeguarding this Golf. And I'm like, really?
Wow. Okay. Let's take an example. Let's say someone wants to sell their vehicle. Let's give them some tips. And we can bounce off each other with this, because I've got a few ideas of my own that I would do. If I was trying to sell a vehicle, I think you mentioned this already. What I would probably do is make sure that I'm going to call it the set, where you take your photos, there's not like a busy area, no busy background, nothing to distract the viewer.
Mm-hmm.
So
like you don't want some grand landscape either. You just want something that looks clean but isn't going to distract from the vehicle itself, because that's supposed to be the focus. Whereas more like artistic stuff, it's more of like the vehicle in this great place and it's like all tied together. But like if you're trying to sell a car, like you want people to be like looking at the car. Like they don't need, if you want to take some crazy photos of it, put them at the end of whatever your listing is, as like a look at how cool it looks in this space. But I wouldn't do that as like your first one, because people are gonna be like, that's cool, and then scroll past. They'll be like, this person likes their car way too much.
Yeah.
Like they aren't gonna sell it. But find a spot that is pleasing but not distracting. Like I usually just shoot on like the roof of like a parking garage, because it's clean. So you just get like the concrete and then the sky, so it looks super clean, but it's not distracting. Or I shoot a lot at this little park or whatever that's near my place, because there's no one there and you just have trees and then sky, so it's just very
Now,
simple.
what about color? Because let's take my truck for example, is like this mountain green color. Now, if I was to park that up and the background is like some rolling hills of grass and greenery and
Mhm.
trees, the car or the truck kind of gets lost very easily just because of the color. So
Yeah,
you kind of want to get like the mix.
contrasting colors.
Yes, like if it was green, you can put it against like a white, somewhere like a white brick wall, or black, or something else that doesn't have that green or yellow where it can get lost. That would be one of the first things that I would do. There's also, I don't know if you've heard, there's like and tattoo artists will know about this. There's like a color wheel or a chart where like you can look at one color and it shows
And it's
you.
exact opposite.
Yes, dude.
That's where
Yeah.
everyone gets their little orange and teal from, because they just go,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait, I could go there. And that's skin tones." And then that's every travel
Yeah.
photographer in the world is like, "Okay."
Yeah. Yeah. It's really funny. But no, yeah, that kind of works with when you want to sell something. In this case, you want your subject to pop. And in this case, it would be a vehicle. What other tips can we give to people that we talked about? What about composition? Like when it comes to taking a photo of a vehicle, what sort of angles are you trying to get? When you first turn up to a shoot, what kind of
For like
angles?
for listing or just
Yeah.
anything.
Well, let's just take this
I'll
example where someone's trying to sell, they're putting something on Facebook Marketplace, for example. They want theirs to stand
Perfect.
out.
So for listing photos for cars, I usually take between 70 and 110 photos per car. Like
Mm,
that's like final delivered photos, which is a lot, but it gets things sold. You want to show every single detail. First thing that I do when I roll up, I'll park the car, wheels straight, and I'll do photos all around. So I'll do like 3/4 front, other 3/4 side, just around. I'll do what, eight photos around the car, and then I'll crank the wheel. And the like highlight shot of every listing or whatnot is the front 3/4 angle, because it pretty much looks good on any car that you look at.
mm.
That's like the number one selling shot. If you look at like a dealership's website, if they have good listing photos, it's the front 3/4 angle with the wheels turned. It looks good. And then I'll do one from the front, and then I'll do one from the back, the wheels turned. That'll be somewhere else. That one's not as important, and then just shooting like every detail. Like I'll shoot every wheel, I'll shoot the tire treads to show that like the tires haven't been worn down, or if they have been worn down, like, hey, heads up. And then I'll shoot like one of the door handles, because usually the driver's door usually has the keyhole to show that. Shoot one of the door mirrors, shoot the front lights, rear lights, any little details or imperfections that I see on it. Because then the client can either use them or not use them, but you want to have everything photographed. And then interior is one of the most important. And I'll just find, I don't shoot it usually in the same space as I do the exterior, unless it gets cloudy, unless like a big old cloud rolls over, because you want very soft, even lighting for the interior. Otherwise, you'll have all these lights and harsh shadows coming in, casting like a big old sunspot on the dashboard, and then like the seats will have like a line of light through them, and it just looks terrible. So find some place, or like wait for like a cloudy day and shoot the interior, or find a spot that's like covered by trees or in any kind of shade. Doesn't matter, just any kind of shade, and you'll get really nice, even lighting inside the car, and it looks way better.
That is such a great tip right there. So, okay, first of all, what do you think the best times of the day are to shoot your vehicle? We're talking like sunset or sunrise, you reckon?
Yeah, around there. It's pretty much earlier morning to later day. It doesn't have to be like right when the sun comes up or right when the sun goes down. There's like a good few hours where the sun is low enough on either side where you can get some nice contrasting angles. And then it's literally just some, like, especially for like the artistic photos or the like cool photos that I take. It's pretty much just, I just keep moving the car around until I find a spot where like the light hits it nicely. And don't be afraid, if you're doing like artistic photos, don't be afraid to backlight it, because it looks so good.
Now,
Like, don't just light it don't have the sun right on the front, because it just makes the whole thing kind of flat. If the sun's backlighting it, it's the same with every movie you've ever seen. If it's shot well, every person is backlit. They shoot on the dark side of people's faces. Everybody looks better backlit.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now, what else? So we've got, so avoid taking photos basically in the middle of the day when the sun is at its highest point. And then for interior, find some shade or wait until it's maybe a little bit dark, or just so you don't get the sun beaming in, like you say, to create all those harsh lines, and it's just going to look crazy. But also, we should probably talk about, if we're talking about cell phones for the moment, obviously the newer cell phones have the option to go wider angle lens, right? Mine doesn't. Mine's an iPhone 8. I'm poor as shit. But for people like you, you've got the iPhone 13 Plus or Pro, whatever it is.
Pro, yeah. 13 Pro.
You can go and change to a wider angle, right? Which I'm assuming would be ideal if you're trying to shoot the interior so you can capture everything.
Yeah, right? Which honestly though, the standard wide angle is wide enough to get what you need shot, because I think it's like a 24 millimeter equivalent. And when I'm shooting cars like with my R6, I use a 24 to 70, so the widest I have is a 24. Yeah, so you can absolutely, I think it's like it's between 24 and 28, but like you can absolutely just use a standard wide angle. But yeah, if you have an ultra wide, it'll make the interior look a lot bigger. But you also got to keep in mind that lens on the ultra wide is a lot slower, and the photos will come out, especially if you're shooting when it's like darker, so you can get like even lighting inside, you'll get a little bit more grain on the inside. So like most of the time I'll just use the standard wide angle on this, because the photos come out looking a lot cleaner than if I use like the ultra wide.
Interesting. This is very interesting, because for me, when I do YouTube videos, I use the wide angle lens, which is 10 to 22 mil. So that's like super wide, but that is perfect for me doing YouTube videos. So I can just hold it like that and it captures everything. Whereas obviously, like you say, using a 24 to 70, one of these, it's a lot more zoomed in. But I don't know. I'm so used to, I'm just, maybe in my head, I'm like, it's in me to just go, right, I've got to film the interior for something. I'm going to need a wide angle lens, and I'll just go straight to that lens. And then for me, when I think about doing like zoomed in on details and stuff, I go for the 24 to 70. That's just, that's just, I don't know.
You gotta keep in mind too, you're on a crop sensor camera, so your 24 at the widest is actually like a 35. Like a 30 something. So it's like closer to like a 35, and then your 10 to 22 at 10, it's actually about a 15 millimeter. There's probably still super wide, but it's not 10, obviously. That'd be 10. You'd be able to see like the walls in my room right here at 10 millimeters.
I know. And that's why, because obviously when I do use the ultra wide, I do zoom in just a little bit, because it does look a bit, you can see the edges start to distort. And it's
crazy.
Yeah, you can tell like my head goes a different size.
Especially if you just tilt it down, it just stretches everything.
Yeah, man. Okay, so yeah, going back then, shooting with, because most people are going to be using a phone, taking photos. And what other advice can we give to people that just want to show off? Let's say most places like eBay, I don't know about Facebook, I imagine you only get like 12 photos to upload. Is that?
Yeah. So that's just kind of hitting the highlights.
Yeah.
I think when you post a vehicle though, they give you more
Oh, okay.
more photos that you can post. I've seen like 30 on there before, I think, but
Mm.
for like most product, like most things that you post, it's like 12 caps, but I believe you can do more for vehicles, if
Mm.
I'm not mistaken. At least you can here. I'm not sure how it is in the UK. It's probably the same.
Mm. I tell you what, it's so frustrating. And I know because I've spoken to a lot of people that have gone to, they've seen something on Facebook Marketplace or eBay, and the seller has just posted like one or two photos, and they're
Yeah.
all like weird angles, like, and it's just like, can you not show me more? You're supposed to be selling me this vehicle, and you've given me like two photos.
There's just zero effort. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, or like when you could tell they shot it in like lower light. So like their phone went to like a lower shutter speed and it's just like the whole photo's just smeared a little bit because and you're like, you couldn't just retake this in the middle of the day.
So frustrating. So,
People just
okay.
don't care.
let's go through the list of things that people should definitely consider taking photos of and uploading when it comes to selling a vehicle, right? So good lighting, taking a photo of the exterior and the interior, taking photos of details like you say there. What about things like maybe things that are wrong with the vehicle or need fixing, like dents and scuffs and things like that?
If you're selling your own vehicle, that's at your own discretion. I would consider, if you're not going to fix it, definitely take a photo and post it in there for full discretion. But obviously like some people are like shady with things and whatnot. Like I shoot for a lot of like dealerships at 10 people where they're like, there's just a car in service and they're like, oh yeah, the thing has like the axles completely screwed, but they sold it as like brand new.
Really?
Or something like, yeah, probably not like that, but like there's so many things. Or like they'll buy a car and it comes and like the wheels just curved to heck, and they're like, that wasn't in the photos. Like, yeah, because he probably paid some guy to Photoshop out the curved wheel.
Wow, that's
yeah, it
mad.
happens all the time, especially down here in Florida, because everyone's car is dinged, so it happens constantly. But also one thing that I think is very underestimated. Everyone just wants to go wide and show everything. I will actually end up posting more telephoto shots than I will wides. It just looks better. So if you have access to a telephoto lens or you have the telephoto option on your phone, do that. Because usually all of my photos around the car, I just walk back a little bit and I shoot at 70. Because then it compresses the background a lot more. So you get that kind of subject separation. So the car is nice and crisp and the background's kind of blurry.
We should probably explain to people that aren't photography savvy what telephoto is. So it's like,
so the higher the more that it zooms in, the more it'll like separate the subject from the back. Because that also comes with aperture. All right, layman's terms. If the longer,
I mean, we could talk about photography all day long in the terms and be like, yep. But for someone like
that's true,
who's just into cars, their brain is going to be bleeding from listening to like aperture. What the fuck? What the fuck?
I would say most cars look better with a more zoomed in lens. I guess that like you'll have to step back a little bit, but like, so what we're talking about is compression. So the more zoomed in it is, the less of a field of view you're getting. So if you take a step back to see the full car, you'll see less of the background, but it makes the car pop more. If that makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully people listening and watching will be able to make sense of that. Yeah, totally.
Hopefully, if not, like let us know in the comments. I'll try my darndest, or shoot me a DM. I'll try my darndest to help you guys out.
Amazing. Now, have you got any? Can we do a screen share? I don't know if you've got any photos like on the go to show us some examples of things, just so people can see. It's been a while since I've used Zoom. I don't know how it works, but
can I?
Would love to show people some examples because you did a. Was it like an impromptu Volkswagen bay window bus that you photographed? It was like the blue one. Can you hear me?
Oh, like an old one on the I was trying to remember. Yeah, the one on the beach.
That was quite cool.
Yeah, I was shooting a Jeep for the dealership, and I just pulled up because like the beach is literally like across the street from that dealership. So I just drove it up there and I just shoot there because it's really close and it gets good photos and I can get more cars shot in a day for them. But so I just brought it there and there was just this perfect like 1978 Volkswagen bus that was like this nice blue just sitting on the beach, and he had the little top popped up. And I was like, oh, I want photos of that so bad. Like the dude who owns it, whatever, was just in the back, just working with like all the windows open and the doors.
Wow.
And I was like, that dude's living the life. Like, that's awesome. And then I like finished up shooting the Jeep and I was like, all right, he's still here. So like, I like walked over and I was like, hey, I really like your Volkswagen bus. Can I get some photos of it? And he's like, heck yeah, dude. So we were just shooting the shit for a little while. And then he gave me his card because I sent him the photos afterwards. I guess he's like the vice president for like a beverage company or something like that. They like make custom drinks or something, which is kind of cool. But I have seen him at the beach all the time now. I see him all the time. Like whenever I bring a car out, because I guess he just brings it there and then just works for the day from the bus. And I'm like, dude, must be nice.
Living the dream. Yeah,
He's
that's
living
amazing.
the dream.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. I don't know how I can screen. Can I
There's
screen?
got to be in there. Also, for anybody listening, if you enjoy video podcasts, if you think I should do more of these, please let me know. That would be great. Like, obviously, doing podcasts with just a conversation, like a phone call, is great. But obviously, being able to see people and see the reaction and stuff is probably even better. And to be able to screen share is cool too. If you can figure that out. Have you figured it out? For me, it's at the bottom where it's like screen share, click.
Oh, I might not be able to because I'm not the host. I'll send you a link to my website if you want to pull it up. I'll send you a link to my portfolio.
All right.
We'll go into automotive because I guess that's what we're talking about. Boop. There, hopefully that works.
And where will that be?
It's on Instagram.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. Okay. We'll wait for that to load. I do apologize, guys. We're here. Okay. So if I do screen share on here, let's see if this works. Hopefully this works. Can you see?
Hey!
Is this all right?
Yeah, I mean, it works for me.
So this is your website, and hopefully people that are watching this podcast can see this as well. Fingers crossed. I guess this is like almost like a test video podcast thing as well, to see how we get on. If people enjoy it, let me know. So we're on your website. Okay, direct me. Where? Okay, I'm seeing some really cool photos already. There's the bus.
So this is the automotive section of my website. Yeah, there's one of the photos of the bus.
Wow.
And then a bunch of the other stuff that I have shot over the years. I haven't done a lot of cool cars lately because I just haven't had the need to, I guess. But
these are really cool.
These are just a few photos that I'm proud of.
Like, these are really cool. Like, okay, so this is one here, right, that you were talking about before, where you park the car and you turn the wheels, right, and you take a photo of the quarter there. Great.
Yep. And then
same
nice chill spot. That's actually an Aston Martin dealership, so I photoshopped out the Aston Martin plaque on the wall.
Oh, really? Wow.
Back there. Yeah, it's a whole collection of dealers.
Yeah.
They had that car in the shop, and I was like, "Yo, you want to bring that out?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it." So,
and the same with the Porsche here. Wheels turn to the right, and the photo is taken on the left.
That is, I think, probably the one shot that I get no matter what during a shoot.
That's
unless
amazing.
We're doing shots of them rolling on the road. Like I will 100% get the quarter angle wheels turned. That's just a staple. And people will say it's a very overused shot, but it's overused for a reason. Like,
right.
it's just a good photo to have.
What's this? Running out of time. This meeting will end in 10 minutes.
No.
Upgrade now. Remove the four. I don't want to upgrade.
They're like, hey, pay us.
I know. God, I don't want to cut this podcast short. Okay, so lots of great images here. I love this. And we've talked before about Photoshop and how you can use Photoshop to edit certain things out, like this one here. Can we talk about this? I mean, I don't want to give your secrets away.
Oh no, you go for it. I mean, I posted it on my Instagram with the before and after.
Right, yeah. So the one, what is that? A
Go for it.
Bugatti? Is it a Bugatti
It's
or a
a
Lamborghini or something?
Lamborghini Aventador SVJ Roadster.
Right. So this one here, the red one, the background wasn't like this before. So the background
That
is
was was shot at midday.
yeah, midday, and he obviously took the photo of the Milky Way, and then I'm guessing you've added in the what do you call that? The light.
Yep.
What is
Yeah,
that?
pretty much it's the headlights. It's not very realistic, but it kind of adds some drama to the photo. Oh yeah,
Definitely.
also so I did a day to night kind of edit first, and then the headlights, by the way, were not on in that photo. So that's all fake. All those
That's
lights on.
right. I remember.
So those are all the lights coming like in the headlights and coming from the headlights. That's all fake. And then that's a photo that I took of the Milky Way a few years ago that I just threw into there and edited it to make it look somewhat believable, but it's more of just like a wow, look at that than like a believable photo, because they don't all have to be like
Sure.
I don't know, just have fun with things.
Yeah, and if you remember earlier, I was saying about the contrast with the colors. You see this, obviously, it being a red vehicle. If you took that and it was like the whole of the background was like sunset, it was like bright red and orange colors, probably wouldn't stand out as much as it does with this very dark background, which looks amazing. Similar with down here, where like this, the BMW here, like what is it, like a lime green color? And
Yep.
the background just makes the car pop. It's the same down here. Again, what is that one? The silver one here?
It's a Lycan Hypersport, and that was not taken in Dubai, even though it looks like it's in Dubai.
Right.
That was taken in Malibu, California, and the road is real. That was actually there. The background, there was actually a gas station and a Taco Bell back there, so I got rid of that.
Amazing.
Zap.
Amazing. Yeah, even that Porsche right there, like we mentioned earlier, that pink background and well, pink foreground and background, everything, the yellow, the green, just makes that car pop even more. These are some amazing
that like Nardo chalk gray color. So
yes,
it just kind of makes it
yeah, these are epic. I love this as well. I love interior shots like this. Have you got any tips for interior? I mean, we've already talked about, using telephoto and things like that, but
I think once you've got your wide establishing shots out of the way, if you're doing listing stuff, I love to like zoom in a bit and grab shots of the interior. Like also something that I love to do to try and add depth to your photo. And what I mean by that is try and have a foreground, which is something in like the front of your frame, your midground, which I usually try to make the subject, like the steering wheel, and then a background. So like I've got the edge of the car there in the foreground and it's kind of out of focus. So it draws your eye to the midground, which is the subject, like the steering wheel and the interior. And then you've got your background, which is the sky and these little pipings and whatnot. So it's just like adding some depth to your photo. It gives the viewer more to look at and they'll spend more time on it being like, that's cool, than just being like, all right, and then scrolling past.
Yeah, totally agree. I totally agree. Where there's another interior shot here somewhere, I remember seeing here.
Yeah, I need to add more interior shots to my website. There's just not as many that I'm like there's some cool ones, but like once you get like a really good interior shot, a lot of them look very similar. So it's like I'll stick with the exteriors because that kind of sells it to clients more than like, look at the interior of this car. It looks the same as that one.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I was going to bring up as well, a little tip for people. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but if you notice in some of these shots, it's like the camera, you've positioned the camera right down towards the floor. And I learned this way back in film studies when I was in college, that if you shoot something and your subject is higher up, Savory, I could do it right now with this camera on my laptop. So I'm here, I'm the subject, position the camera down there. Now I'm standing up now, but I look more intimidating and, more
grand.
yes. Whereas if I positioned it down here and I'm like, oh, hi guys. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can do that same thing. You can make a vehicle look so much more like empowered and like raw, like do you know what I'm saying? As
Yep.
opposed to if you take a photo shot downward, even this one here with the yellow, is that a Porsche again?
The
Or,
Lamborghini
no.
Urus.
Sorry, yeah, I'm not great with like newer vehicles, man. I'm good with the older ones, but not not newer one. But yeah, like it's the camera sits slightly lower. Same with that one. Same with this one. That Porsche one there, definitely. It works. It just gives that tiny little bit more that the the subject is loud and proud. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably see it a lot in
more.
like, yeah, you'll see it a lot in Hollywood movies where they make the villain look like that, or the hero in most cases.
Look like larger than life.
Yeah. This is great, man. This is great. And what's your website? CalebBronco.com. People should definitely go and check that out for sure, man. There's some great images here. Great images. Okay, because we've apparently only got 3 minutes until our time is up. I know, what the hell, man. What would be your advice with editing? Obviously, again, people are just going to be using their phones. Is there any sort of apps that you would recommend that people can edit?
Lightroom Mobile is great. You have the world at your fingertips. You can get the entire Lightroom basically on your phone for free.
Yeah,
do that. It's great. And then
Lightroom,
keep the edits subtle, at least to start. Like there's a lot of these in here, like I've spent a long time on, but they're like kind of similar to how they started. It's like, it's really easy, especially when you're starting out. I used to do it all the time, to just oversaturate and over contrast everything, just to be like, it looks punchy and great. That's what editing is. No, it's not. Right? Like keep it subtle. You want to, and then just you can add in little brushes too to certain areas that you want to pop a little more, which that's like more on the experience side once you get down the line.
Sure.
But like just keep it, just don't go overboard.
Yeah.
Play with the tones of the colors more than the contrast of your entire image, because that's what's gonna like pop a lot more. Like if you look like this first one here with the Lambo, that hue in the stairs and on the ground, it was more of like a yellowish light, like you see in my room here. So I didn't add a ton of contrast. That's just how it was. I just grabbed the yellow hues and brought them a little bit more orange, so it kind of balanced out the photo.
Nice.
So you got the blue and the orange kind of balance in that photo. That was also a fun shot to take. I was just hiding under stairs on a roof of a parking garage. Came out great though.
But yeah, Lightroom app from Adobe. Definitely want to get that.
That's the one that I use. There's plenty of other stuff that you can use. There's plenty of other apps where you can just like throw filters on and whatnot. But definitely, if you actually want to edit them, check out Lightroom and keep it subtle, especially if you're selling a car. You don't want to change your blue car to a green car and get very confused.
Keep it honest. Okay, so we have less than a minute. So basically, our top tips: shoot, just after sunrise, just before sunset. Shoot your interior in the shade, and use what is it? Telephoto lens. So nice
use
to
a
get
more
those
zoomed in lens as often as you can.
Yes, and shoot all the way around the vehicle. Turn the wheels to the side when you're shooting the front quarter, like these images. These are great. Caleb, this has been really cool. If people want to see us do another podcast just like this, please let us know and we'll get you on again, and we'll talk in detail a little bit more about photography and shooting your vehicle. Dude, I don't know when it's going to cut us off, but thank you. Thank you so much. We'll do this again, trust me, and we'll hopefully sort it out properly so it's not